I'm Dr. Jordin Wiggins, and this is the Pleasure Principles podcast. Join me on this journey where sex, science, and sensuality meet. Let's change the conversation around sex and pleasure together. Welcome to the Pleasure Principles podcast. Today, I am so excited to have my friend and business coach, Tiffany Carter, on. We are going to talk about two taboo topics, sex and money.
Oh, honey, I am here for this.
It's always good. The parallels are crazy. Just a little background. So I met Tiffany at a conference, and it was one of those instant, she gets me. She gets it. She was speaking and decided that I had to work with her, changed my business in so many amazing, amazing ways. And the things that I would say to Tiffany and the problems that I would have are like problems in business, or I'm sure what all of you listening are having. So let's start with the good stuff, though, before we get into the problems, the juicier stuff. So Tiffany, I noticed that the women that work with me, they were coming for better sex, more connected relationships, intimacy issues. And the better sex they were having, the more connected they were with their partners, and even the better solo sex they were having, like even if they weren't partnered, but they just wanted to work on that piece for themselves, the more money they were making. So I started to notice this, and I started to see it as a pattern. They were getting job offers, they were getting promotions, they were just, money was showing up. Can you explain this or unpack this for me as the abundance expert?
I love this. I love this topic. And I want to address this because I am one of these people. If you're going, oh God, well, I'm not having sex, or the sex isn't great, or I'm in a season where, I'm running solo, or I just got divorced and now I'm not going to be able to have, make great money and get promotions because I'm not having sex. Like, try your best to not do like black and white thinking with it. It's, let's peel back the sex part. It's a release. If it's good and it's with someone who's, healthy, it makes us feel like vibrant and like that it factor, and like, you're experiencing like a sense of relaxation and all the hormones that, the pleasure hormones that go on, and all the stuff that, you obviously talk about on the show. And then that transfers into your energy and how you come across. Maybe you stand up a little straighter. Maybe you wear that silk blouse that you weren't vibing before. Maybe you spend an extra 5 minutes getting ready in the morning, and that makes you feel like, yeah, like I've got it going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you become this magnet then for abundance, for people, for opportunities. People just like want to be in that energy, but they don't know what it is. But it doesn't have to be sex that gets you there, right? That is one of the options. I am currently not having sex with anybody. I have sex with myself, and I'm very talented at this, must I say.
And I was just talking about this with a client, and I said, we need to get out of the mindset of like, he puts his penis in me, he can get me off. It's like, no. We are our own best lovers. That should be what we are talking about, and know how to get ourselves off the best than anyone on the planet. So thank you for sharing.
Listen, I took myself, I had a pretty recent separation from a long-term relationship. And, I marched myself to a sex shop, and I was like, we got to retire Big Red. I had Big Red for 10 years. You remember the old school, like Rabbit? Remember the Rabbit?
Yes.
It was like, I'm sure I was like, there has to be some new technology on the market. Like I had to retire a big red. It was tough. I have a hard time throwing away my vibrators because we have like a connection. And I was,
Attachment.
yeah. And I was like, what do I do? Just toss, like, toss big red in
Just
the
throw it
like,
in the garbage. Yeah.
throw it in there.
Is this recyclable?
Exactly. And I'm like, you know what? Like, have a little sexcapade day. And I took myself to a sex shop, and the lady there was delightful. And like, I wanted to
They
try
are.
that clitoris
The clitoral
thing.
stimulators.
Is it the
Yes. The
rose or whatever?
suction or the
No,
ones that lick.
yeah. What? There's ones that lick?
Yeah, I need,
Oh,
and
I haven't
as
had,
soon
no,
as you
I
said
only
the
got
new
the suction
technology, I was like,
one.
which is amazing. But there's also
I'm
ones
not
that like
into it.
mimic a tongue. Oh, you're
Okay, I
not?
might like that better. No, I'm not in. The suction thing didn't do it for me. I feel like that would need to be like a combination plate with something else. You know what I'm saying? That
Yes.
wasn't my jam. But like I did that for myself. And even in doing that, even though like I hadn't necessarily unboxed the stuff, but knowing I got like some things to try, like, I don't know, I like walked around different. I was like, hey, like I
And
got some stuff going on here. And that energy is, it's that sexy energy. It's fun. And it's not like I could have a sexy energy. So can you, wearing sweatpants? It doesn't matter. But it's that my focus was on my self pleasure. And when we peel that back, what does that say? That means I'm worthy of it. I'm prioritizing myself. I deserve it. And that energy emanates, that radiates out of you, which only attracts people to you, opportunities to you, money to you, ideas to you, creativity to you. So that's what I think is underneath all of that stuff.
completely agree. Because the vibe, right? If you're if you're having sex out of obligation, for example, you're in a relationship that there is the resentment or things are off, it needs work, but you're having sex out of obligation and it's not fulfilling, you don't walk around with that energy. Or you maybe your libido's higher than your partner's and you're like forcing them to have sex, or it feels like you're forcing them, and then that doesn't feel good. Like, it just, when it's got that yucky energy and it's not fulfilling for either party, then it's not the same. You might have done the thing, you might have had the orgasm, but the energy and the vibe isn't the same.
That's why I don't remember when I stopped this. And it did take me work to stop it because of my sexual abuse trauma history. You know, it was hardwired in me. Like, someone wants you to do something sexually, like, you do it or you're going to get in trouble, you know, or they'll leave you. So I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of the obligation stuff. And I can't remember how many years ago I stopped the obligation sex. I mean, there's no better orgasm faker than me. I'm like Academy Award winning, with like nuances. Like I've got the
Oh,
build
like
up.
the different kinds of orgasms,
Oh,
fake orgasms.
I'm so talented at it. Cause I was doing that, wanting to make sure the guy felt like the king, you know, like the boss, like, oh my God. And they all did. And that's where my focus was, not on me receiving and having my pleasure, but making sure they felt like a stud. And then in a manipulative way, because it is manipulative, that would make the guy be like, you know, even more enmeshed to
Want
me
you more.
and want me more, because of course, why wouldn't you want someone more who makes you feel like you're a rock star stud every single time in
Right. Like,
bed?
there's never a bad day. It's just, he's so amazing. Love, I'm love that we're going here, because I think this is, so many people listening would be like, okay, me, called out. And wanting to please your partner, make him feel like the king, in and of itself is not inherently wrong. If we're doing it from a worthiness issue, or to make them feel attached and enmeshed and to try and keep them because we just don't feel worthy of love and pleasure because we are obviously problem. But I think, and I want to make this clear, that it's that we also don't know how to turn it around and receive, right? Like to make your partner want to feel like the king, amazing. So you're giving. And that's what sex is that energy exchange of giving and receiving. But for women like me, like you, we don't do the receive part. We're good at the give part and the put on the show part.
And not just in the bedroom, in
life,
career, in family, in friendships. I mean, they're really, those parallels are very accurate.
The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So it goes across the board. This is random. Sex work, very triggering for some of the women that I work with. I talk about the life of a courtesan, that's what it used to be called, or a very high-end escort. So these are women that are extremely, like, they're educated, they can hold a conversation with really powerful men, they get in these rooms, and they're paid really, really well for it. And some of it's for sex, but some of it's for like just conversation, connection, that kind of thing. And we talk about it, it's always super triggering for some people. But I think I might try out the high-end escort thing if my current relationship doesn't work out in the future.
Oh, I would be amazing at it. I'm surprised I didn't make a career of it already.
Same. And actually, I desire connected partnership. So it was a joke, but just putting it out there for the universe of what I really want. Didn't want to confuse my message here, but the life of, so they're getting paid to take care of themselves, prioritize themselves, fill up their own cups so that when they go on these dates or get hired to go to these parties, like they're full, they're abundant, they're soft, they have things to give. And they can be that like confidant, that place to land, that like they're in touch with their feminine wisdom and their feminine power. And to me, and then there's us like running around, striving, trying to do all the things, running on empty. And I just draw that parallel of like, what's so wrong with that life? Like it seems abundant and full and exciting in some ways to me, but that is probably the trauma talking.
Yeah, because like you said, there's not intimacy there.
Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, but I think a majority of the okay. Intimacy, no. Yeah, not with the client. Not that kind of intimacy. I didn't know if you meant like sex intimacy, but yes, no. But then I think on some level, these women do have to hold like love for the person for who they are. But yeah, I don't know how much they're letting people in and vice versa. So it would probably get a little messy. And we're so quick by overworking, by overfunctioning, thinking we need to earn our love and our pleasure and our rest, that we could judge these women. That's like, she's making she's making $1 million a year, going to parties and taking really good care of herself. And we want to judge it. So that disconnect from abundance, that disconnect from feeling good, where do you think that comes from? Do you see that in your clients?
Yeah, the disconnect to abundance is coming, in my opinion, from coaching well over 150,000 people all over the world, all different demographics, from different economic situations, backgrounds, traumas, that kind of thing. What it boils down to is the level of comfort and the level of discomfort with receiving, where even if it's someone giving a compliment.
Mhm.
So many women, and I used to be one of them, I would laugh it off and then say something self-deprecating, right? I had to do a lot of work to even be able to say thank you. Even in my head, I was like, oh, they're just, blowing smoke up my ass, or that's not true, or if they only knew. And now, after doing, all the work, I really genuinely take it in and take a moment and feel
And
it.
feel it.
And it feels good.
And
It
you can
doesn't feel,
hold the feeling.
yeah, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. So I look at it where receiving, it's almost like a muscle. So many of us have traumas and things that occur, and just belief systems and stuff that was said and not said or inferred in the household, and even propaganda from like corporate world and, mass marketing and things like that. We have atrophied, like an atrophied muscle of receiving, and you can build this
And an
up.
atrophied pussy too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, does the pussy muscle atrophy? God, I hope not.
No, but I
Okay.
mean, I in the receiving sense that like we're
Yeah, yeah.
not like open and inviting and turned on, where our vulvas and everything are just so soft and sensitive and alive, and they come alive with pleasurable touch.
Yes.
They're like,
I like where you're going with this, because that's a really good visual. Because it's like you have the pussy that's like turned on, and secreting and pulsing, and you have that. And that's like not just like ready to receive, like I want to receive, I'm here. You have that. And then you have the dry cobwebs,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Situation.
which
And
is
that's like, I'm not open for business, right? That's like, you guys can't see me, but I'm like demonstrating what I'm saying with
there's a
my
lot of
hand.
hand gestures going on.
And it's true. It's like now we're all closed off, and you can feel that energy. Every one of us has met someone at work, in a social setting, where you can tell pretty quickly if a person has a wall up, is closed off, or if this is a person who's more open. You can feel it within seconds with somebody. So don't think people, your significant other, the same sex, opposite sex, whatever you're into, can't sense that immediately from you. You're not that good of a faker.
Yeah,
I used to think I was that good of a faker, where like you couldn't tell like what was going on there.
we can.
Yeah, you can. People who are awake can definitely tell. Yeah, I mean, I attracted a lot of addicts, narcissists, and sociopaths, but they don't care.
Yeah, they just want to see like what's immediately there. They is being reflected to them. They don't want to go deeper because it's all about them. Um, so when we're open to receiving, and rewind to me 15 years ago, like I was literally such a tight ass that I had pelvic pain and needed to go to a pelvic floor physiotherapist and had to use like wands and dilators and stuff, because it was, and we talk about tight vaginas as if it's some prize or goal or whatever. It's actually not. It's awful and painful to be open and accommodating and receiving penetration, money, compliments. Like that's really what we want.
It's so much more vulnerable in any of the departments. It's so much more vulnerable because in order to receive, we have to be open. And we don't feel like there's protection when we're open.
We feel
And so it's
exposed.
like exposed. And I was just telling you, before we came on, that my podcast just went viral in Australia. Like it surged. And this is of course, this is what I want. But I was so exposed so quickly all at once. Like I'm talking, my DMs were flooded, emails were flooded, like tons of shares of my show. And believe me, I'm grateful. That's wonderful. But I felt so exposed, so vulnerable, So it was almost like I was open, right? I was very open to receive. And then I got what I wanted and I didn't know what to do with it because it was so unfamiliar that it felt scary because it's just unfamiliar to me. And no one was wanting anything in return. My podcast is free. So it wasn't like this was a launch where there is an exchange, right? I give you help, support, guidance, information in exchange for your money, right? This is free. So it even messed with me more because no one was having none of these people had an agenda.
Right. They were sharing it because your shit's amazing. Everyone needs to listen to Tiffany's podcast. We will link it. Brings up levels of receiving. So I see this with sex and intimacy, and it's like what we will allow ourselves to have. So it'll get good and we'll allow it we'll desire it, and then we'll do work and it will happen. And then we self-sabotage, fuck up, shrink, fuck it up, shrink back where we feel safer. Do you see levels of receiving when it comes to like money in business?
This literally happens. I've never had this not happen with anybody I've worked with. And like I said, I've coached thousands and thousands of people, aside from that very small percentage of people who I determine, not that I have any degree to determine this, but like definitely were strong in the narcissist department. So aside from those people, what's interesting is in the idea phase, brainstorming phase, desire phase, whether that's someone calling in a partner, starting a business, scaling their business, wanting to write a book, whatever it may be, that phase, there's a lot of open receptivity to receiving creative ideas, to receiving guidance from me, to spending money, working with someone like you, working with high level people like myself or, James Patrick or whatever. And they'll do all that. But I literally know when it's going to happen when I'm working with someone, whether it's in like a mastermind setting or it's private. And it's right when it's time to put it out. Now it's time to put it out in the world. Now we're doing it. And that's when all the stuff comes up. That's when it's like, oh my God, like, I don't know, but I don't know how to do this. And now I don't know what to say. And now all of a sudden they don't know what to talk about, but they were filled with ideas before. Now all of a sudden they get sick. That's very common.
Oh yeah, the crash.
I go, they're like, oh my God, I haven't been sick in years and now I'm sick. I'm like, of course you are. This is not, and same thing has happened to me, many times. And it's like, because now it's time to where, so to speak, the fruits of your labor. And now you're going to be exposed. And why I think this happens is it's a subconscious way to protect ourselves from being disappointed for potentially not receiving, being rejected, being abandoned, and not getting what we want. Meaning the person doesn't want to marry you. The person ghosts you. No one buys the book. No one signs up for the course. No one listens to the podcast.
You get the bad comment or
yeah, exactly. You get turned down for the promotion. They pick someone else. That happened to me when I was in corporate, because when we putting yourself out there is it's so exposing our entire nervous system. If we've been taught it's not safe to receive, you can't trust receiving, you can't trust pleasure unless you are working heavily with being bookended by someone like yourself that works on that stuff and someone like me on the strategy, money mindset, like business coaching side, where you have to work through it in real time. Guess what? You'll sabotage yourself. And then go, see, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. See, all guys are jerks. See, I knew what I dreamed of wasn't going to work, or I'm not cut out for it. See, they always promote, white old guy over me. Knew that was coming. And now we've got that. Now we're reinforcing that belief. And I'm not saying it in judgment. I did all of it.
I still do.
When you're standing in the picture frame, you can't see the whole picture. That's why if you don't have people who are highly trained that are there with you, you're really set up to be screwed. You are.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it on their own. It was even something for
They don't.
me.
It doesn't go well. I mean, listen, on the outside, I call it white knuckling it. On the outside, I looked like I was doing it on my own. Okay. Like I was that person, and I don't need to hire anyone. I know I can do it myself, but I can't rely on people. They always let me down, blah, blah, blah. I almost literally died from operating that way. But on the outside, you'd be like, oh, she has, the cars and the trips and that,
Oh
all
yeah, we
that
make it
stuff.
look real good on the outside, even though we're dying on the inside. Lonely, physically ill.
Dying. And I wanted to not be on this planet anymore. Legit. Like I
Yeah.
was not well. And I didn't know that there was another way. Like I genuinely did not know, because who do you think I was surrounded by? I was surrounded by other women wired like myself, or people who were sucking me dry, taking from me because I was
Because you're
overgiving all the time.
overgiving. Yes. Yeah. And that contemplating suicide, mental health for women like us, it's something that the door to my office, well, when I used to have a physical office, would shut, or with my one-on-one clients, it's women that are killing it in career, in apparent, like looking like killing it in life.
That was
And
me. Thank God Instagram did not exist. Facebook did, but my first business wasn't built at all using social media. Thank God, because I would have been that person on the private jet. I'm talking almost weekly. I was on a private jet. Okay. Like I was flown to go to corporate meetings on private. I mean, I would have, with the Louis Vuitton luggage,
big time.
and I would have posted that stuff, not because like I wanted you to think I was so cool. I was trying to justify my misery.
Mm.
If that makes sense. It was like, well, at least I have all this.
Yeah, because it's the lie that we get sold, right? To achieve and have the external stuff. But then it's so hollow. And when it is hollow and we do want to kill ourselves, and I've been there more times than once, and we think, well, the luggage and the private jet, like that's what it's about, right? Like something must be wrong with me. What's wrong with me that I have these things, but I'm hollow and lonely and I can't feel joy or feel good
Because
unless somebody.
I've even felt that way where I've had like what one would consider would be like a great partner. And then I would use all that to shame myself. I'm someone who's, I don't have any, like, so to speak, health crisis, even though I did, but you know what I mean? I wasn't like, I didn't have cancer or something like that. Um, I had all money, success, prestige, awards, a guy, I had all the stuff. So I used it to shame me. Something is inherently wrong with me if I am this miserable and this lonely and I have all these things. Like I must be like a horrible person. I
I
used that, and I like would study other people and be like, what is it they have that I don't have? Because I didn't want to feel like that, but I didn't know how to get out of it because no one was talking about this stuff.
Yeah, and you're around other women doing the same thing, feeling hollow on the inside, but prevent putting that face that we're faking it on the outside.
Why do you think women don't? And I'm not saying everyone, but like you and I do, but it is still very rare, which is why we stand out among the masses. There are very few successful women, though, that are still willing to have open dialogue about this or be vulnerable to bring up a conversation in a friend group or even with a friend one-on-one. You ask me one-on-one and you're in my life now, how I'm doing, and I'm not okay. I'm not going to be like, oh, things are pretty good. Yeah. Da, da, da. No, I'll be like, listen, I'm going through it. Like, I have a lot of shit coming up. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, but that's not how most conversations seem to go
No,
down.
no. And I think that is why we're lonely and why we have these issues, because we've been taught to judge each other, I think, as women. Like, we've been taught to compete and we're kind of pitted against each other. What does she have that I don't have? Or she sleeps her way to the top, or just all of these, you can't trust women, like all of these things that we've been taught to tear each other down instead of lift each other up. Because we've been taught to judge each other, it doesn't feel safe to have those conversations with women when you don't know how it will be received. So for example, and this is the complete opposite of, you know, our relationship and what we're talking about, I posted a picture of Freya. We were going from the airport to like the beach or wherever we were staying, I can't remember, and we didn't have the base of her car seat. And you're allowed to do it. It's like you buckle it up differently, whatever, for like short trips. And this woman wrote me this massive message of like, this is dangerous, terrible. You don't have this buckle in the right place, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and you're putting your daughter at risk. So when we open and we're vulnerable, that's what we fear is coming back at us, is this judgment, and judgment from people that like don't have the emotional authority, credibility, whatever, to say shit, but they do anyway. So I feel like the fear of getting it out there, and the fear of, because we're supposed to be perfect, we're supposed to have it all together, we're supposed to feel like it's supposed to match how it looks on the outside. So to be able to say, I have all this shit and I am drowning, it's like the biggest personal failure of all. And we don't know how to be empathetic to each other, especially when a lot of women, they'll say, I can't complain or talk to anyone about this because, first of all, I don't understand what's going on or how to fix it. And if I complain to anyone, they're like, well, you should just be happy because you have all these things. Like, we're still buying into that story that doing A, B, C, D equals pleasure, happiness, abundance, but it's bullshit.
And here's what I would say to be careful of, and this is something you can implement immediately. Oftentimes, and it's autopilot, we're not conscious of it. So you're going to have to deliberately pause, even for 3 seconds, before you share something, a big win, a success in your life, a fight with a partner, that you bought a magical new pussy licking device.
I'm going to send you a link after the
I mean,
show.
I'm very here for it. Whatever that may be, and you want to share, we want to connect. We're human beings. And even if it's someone you are like conventionally like, oh, I share with this person all the time. It's my sister, it's my BFF. Pause and go, is this the safest person to share this with right now? Are they the best person? Because what I notice we do is we go to the hardware store expecting to get milk. So I've had, especially with successes, right? Wanting to share a success with somebody, and then their response is very lackluster. Or sometimes you're sharing something with a partner, or you're having a really tough month. How about why does it have to be a tough day or a tough week? Guess what? Sometimes I've had a tough season, a quarter,
Yeah.
right? And I have had someone who is not in my life anymore, who is incredibly close to me. I share about it on the podcast. I don't out her, but I share about it because I know other people really, really needed to hear that validation. And she said to me, like, I'm so tired of you complaining all the time. It's exhausting. And it
What?
shamed me, right? And it shamed me down to the ground, where it's like, oh, it's safe for me to have a bad week, but not a bad month, certainly not a bad season. So I now ask myself, I want to share this, or who can I'm in a bad way. Who can I reach out to? I pause, even again, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Doesn't need to be super long. And go, who is the best person? Who's the safest person that can hold that space right now? Because what happens when we do the opposite, which is more typical?
Often.
Shame hit.
Yeah. And we're almost looking for it. We're almost
That's what I mean. It's a
to punish
subconscious shame.
ourselves.
It's a subconscious shame hit, a subconscious way of actual self-abuse. It's insane, but it is absolutely what so many people do. Even I have people come to me, and I know you've had people come to you where they've hired coaches or experts, or even gone to like medical, specific medical practitioners. And they go, I don't know why I went to this person, or why I hired this person, or why I kept going back, or why I bought from this person. And I shouldn't have. And this person was a fraud. This person made me feel like crap. This person was very intimidated by my success and didn't da 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 da.
Yeah, I just want to puke for the number of times I've hired a coach and then like done eclipsed the success, and then they can't handle it, and then it turns into this abusive relationship. Yeah.
Right. And it's the shame. It's because that is that's a heavy default emotion for so many of us. I'm not good enough. I'm inherently flawed. Something's wrong with me. And then we go back to that if we don't change our actions. So I wanted to at least give you one action you could take immediately. And you're going to have some awareness around this going, oh my God, I can't go to my sister for this. And then you'll go the next time something happens. The person who is normally your go-to, and it might be your partner, by the way.
Yeah. Yes.
Might very well fall to the bottom of your list when you take a moment and pause.
Which that is such a meaningful tip and practice to implement. Love it. I started doing that maybe a year ago, and it's life-changing because yeah, your patterned person to go to is usually not who you need to go to. And on the partner aspect, because I hear and see this a lot, we can't expect our partners to be everything. So I see a lot of women with all of this business success, and they've grown things and done amazing things. They save lives or companies, they do their thing. And then they go to their partner for the business advice and the validation and the approval. And it's like, like your partner's not in the ring here.
For milk, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Because, and it's not because maybe someone and sometimes it's because someone really doesn't give a shit, but it could be because they're not capable. They're not emotionally set up for that, or they can't comprehend because they're in a completely different industry and they don't really understand what it is you do.
Yes. Yeah. So, and it could be, the well-intentioned thing or whatever, but there's just this, it's like we feel like we need to connect with our partners on every single issue. And I think that sets us up for disconnection. Something that you said made me think, the fear of being too much. Like, oh, I can have a bad week, but not a bad month. So I do feel like inherently, if we were boiling it down, that would be one of the fundamentals here, is our fear of being too much.
Yeah, you nailed it. That is, and I even say that. I have 3 coaches going at a time and a therapist and a whole medical team to keep this afloat over here, okay? Because you know what? That works. That's how this abundance train, that's how this keeps going. Otherwise, I take that away. Guess what I go back to? I go back to dried up vagina Tiffany.
No.
Not want that, Tiffany.
No.
It's a way more fun Tiffany. But I said it to two of my coaches, and felt this way with my therapist as recently as last week. Because I've had, like I said, this period, it's been about, I would say 2 weeks now, where I had all this exposure, and I'm like, it got all weird and I couldn't get out of it. Then I judged myself for not getting out of it because I know better, because I do this work, because I coach people. Now, what's my problem? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
talking.
because we could help our clients out of that one real
Right.
easy,
So then
but
what's wrong with me? And
yeah.
then now am I a fraud because I'm not doing, I mean, I went wild. Okay. I was doing everything. I lit sage. I'm praying, spirit guides. I was trying everything. And I wasn't out of it. And I said to my coach in a voice text, I go, I feel really uncomfortable leaving this for you because I'm still not okay. And I'm sure that's getting really old. And I'm like a downer and I'm probably sound whiny and so fucking annoying. And now I'm that person and I don't want to be that person, but I'm taking contrary action and I'm reaching out anyway. And none of it was true because I made sure I'm working with someone, who's safe,
Safe.
right? But even my therapist, when we got off our session last week, and I'm going to tell her that tonight, I have therapy tonight. I even thought, I was like, I convinced myself because I'm very intuitive and, that I picked up on a spidey sense that she's annoyed with me. Back to being Tiffany's too much.
Yes. Oh,
And
I get it.
and I wanted to run with it. Like, see, she's annoyed with me. I'm too
She's
much.
disappointed.
Uh-huh.
I should know better by
And
now.
what does that circle around back to? Taking the bad out and beating myself with a shame stick, right? I'm too
Mhm.
much. No one understands you. You're inherently flawed. Something is very wrong with you. And therefore you can't have these tight, supportive, high receiving relationships with a high vulnerability exchange because you're just too much for people, Tiff.
It's a big one. But too much emotionally, too much sexually, too like
Outspoken,
yeah.
talented. Let me tell you something. And I this might come, some of you won't like what I have to say because it might be triggering. But that expression like new levels, new devils, mo money, mo problems, or it's lonely at the top.
Yeah,
I
fuck that.
really there are truths to cliche sayings. That's why they're there. You know what makes it lonely is it's like I have to own my part of it. I start getting more weird about being open vagina Tiffany with the amount of, I don't know what you want to call it, success, prestige, wealth, or whatever. Um, because I have had people who get triggered by that.
Yeah, and sometimes they're the people closest to us. So it's like love will leave if I have this success. That's a big belief that I have. And you even pointed out to me earlier today, I can't remember the wording, but you said something like you've called in, you have this support of people like that really want to give to you and really want to see you win. And first of all, I was like, oh shit, I do. Like there was a cleansing of team and contractors and how I operated my business. There was this huge cleansing and burning it all down. And then it was building it back up. And I went, oh, I do. And it feels amazing. But it also felt uncomfortable receiving at that level from people and having relationships to be honest and open and you waiting for the, oh, is she gonna get annoyed with me? Is it,
Or like you said, waiting for the shoe to drop. It's like one eye open, one eye closed. Like you want to trust it. You feel you can trust it. You've leaned in, but you've had, and so have many of us, historical patterns where you have leaned in and have trusted before and have been greatly hurt and let down by people. And so of course, we want to trust that receiving. God, it feels so good. I think it's incredibly vulnerable to really sit and trust in that receiving of support, of money, of abundance, where we're not killing ourselves for it. There's not a high energy exchange for it.
Right.
When
It's not,
there's
I
a
need
high
to,
energy exchange, I'm a lot more comfortable receiving.
yeah, if we get all of the items on our to-do list done, then okay, we can have sex now because the kitchen's clean and the laundry's done and all those things. But you can't just stop in the middle of the day and feel good.
That's like like short circuit my brain right now. Like, wait a second. I don't understand. What's
Yeah,
happening?
right. Or the success and the accolades, the awards in business.
Yeah, it's the overworking I see that I did. I was a workaholic. Like I went in a 12-step program for it. Like it's a real situation because working for it, I could receive the money, the accolades, the awards. I could receive them because I'm like, I earned it. Like I bled myself dry for this, damn it.
So then
But
we deserved it.
right. But now when I sit back, and I'm not saying I don't do anything, of course, but I work, I'll be straight up, like max 30 hours a week. Okay. So I'm working max 30 hours a week and I'm bringing in a crap ton of cash from 2 businesses, helping people, right? Like I have to really manage that because it can start feeling like I even had the thought this morning, like, I should be doing something. Shouldn't I be working?
Yeah, when you sit down to relax or do something that you enjoy, or you have just free time, open space, and then you pull out the shame stick and, oh, what should I be doing?
Yeah, I was like, don't. And then I go, oh God, because I'm not doing something, I'm going to lose something. So this is not like a one and done thing. This is something I prioritize daily in managing this. If I don't, the train will run away. And you can still get it back if you're in the runaway train with it. We can get it back. But it's kind of like with working out. I would rather discipline myself in keeping a steady state with exercising and taking care of my body than stopping for months, having to get back into it again, stopping and getting back in. It's like, it's a daily management.
So, speaking of daily management, we talk a lot about pleasure practices, receiving more pleasure. What do you do as part of this daily management to feel good and almost allow yourself to tolerate feeling good?
I prioritize feeling good first, and that is going to make most of you spin and go, well, easy for you to say you don't have children. Easy for you to say you have millions in the bank. Easy. I get it because I would have thought the same thing if I heard it. So you do it what's relative for you and your schedule for where you're at. So prioritizing pleasure could be that you get to have 20 minutes in the morning to have your coffee and ice roll your face, and then you have to ask a partner or you have to set a boundary in your family or maybe hire the nanny for an extra hour in order to give to yourself. I don't work, and I'm not saying there aren't exceptions. Sometimes I really don't start any work related activities until noon every day. My priority is my health and my pleasure. So if I want to have sex with myself, I have sex with myself. If I want to have a dance party, if I want to go look around TJ Maxx and buy nonsense, if I want to write. Another thing I do, and I'll make sure you guys get the link. So it'll be in the show notes. I do something called abundance walks, and you can do these anywhere. You can do them indoors as long as you have some form of movement going.
They're amazing, and she gets it, and she gets that we don't like to sit still and do these
Yeah.
things.
I'm all about, right. Because we got to feel like we're multitasking. It's
Yeah.
we got to just work with it. I don't think that's going to really go anywhere. And so I will walk and like make a point of looking at like the tree or the sun or that beautiful house. And sometimes I've done them inside. I call them the fancy malls. Like you go inside a fancy mall, you're not
I love
going
the
in the
fancy
stores,
mall. Yeah, I
right? You're
love
just
the fancy
walking
mall.
around and you're like, ooh, that bag's cute. And it helps you be grounded and present And when you're in that state and you're looking at things that are pleasurable and abundant to you, this shift can happen in even 3 minutes in your energy. And so I make a point of that has to be in my schedule. I have to prioritize pleasure and receiving. If I don't, I will go back to my default, and my default literally almost killed me. So that is not an option.
I love it. It is everything we talk about on this podcast, prioritizing pleasure, having it be pleasure first, which is so contrary to what we think and what we believe and what we know. And it feels so out there and
You'll make
uncomfortable.
more money when you do this. And I know it sounds like BS, and I get it, but I have the receipts. I have the receipts from my own life. I have the receipts with my clients. When you prioritize pleasure, the more fun you have, the more money you make, because it's such an attractive energy. People are naturally magnetized by you. They want what you've got. And then you have your creativity, ideas come out of you. You don't come across desperate vibes when you're in that way, like needy, codependent vibes, which is far more attractive. Remember that. It really is. The more fun you have, the more money you make. I have to remind myself sometimes too.
And because I know that all of us listening, we have our perfectionist brains, our all or nothing thinking. Tiffany worked up to it. I've worked up to it. She didn't go from a massive corporate career making herself sick from running her business to starting her day at noon. So that's not what we're saying. It could be, 10 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes. Listen to Tiffany's abundance walk. You'll love it. Do that once a day. Like, that counts. Anything that makes you feel good, that increases your vibe, your energy. That's it. Simple. Sounds super simple. Hardest part is to implement daily. Make it a practice.
And not go, I'll do it later. I've just got to get to this email first. Oh, I've got to go clean this over there and go to the store, and then I'll take the bath.
Oh, yeah, because you're going to get tested. There's always the things. They're going to come up. The phone's going to ring. Someone's in crisis, something, right? Like, all of the people that you've been over giving to are going to need you immediately. So yes, it's back to the micro dosing of the pleasure. But even those little shifts make a massive, massive impact. So Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. We will link your podcast, everything in the show notes, any links or anything where people can find you.
I would say for those of you who are, too lazy to swipe up for the show notes, you can go to projectmewithtiffany.com/season of abundance. It's that simple. You want to listen, and the podcast is Project Me with Tiffany Carter, and you can come say hi to me on Instagram and DM me. Let me know what you loved about the show. It's me and my DMs. It's not someone on my team, and I'd love to get to know you.
Thank you so much. I can vouch that Tiffany is the real deal. She has helped me, my business, my life so much lately. She sees in me the greatness that I try and hide from. So thank you, Tiffany, for everything you've done for me. Thank you for sharing so openly with our listeners. Have a great week, everybody. If you like what you heard in this episode, leave me a rating. Your support helps me get discovered by more women like you. Together, we can change the conversation around women's sexual health and pleasure for you, your partners, and generations to come.